What's happening, people? Just wait for Jesal to jump on this, and then we'll get it popping. I see him.
What's happening, bro?
Yes, brother. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. I'm all right.
Keeping out of harm's way?
You know what? Last time on Money Talks episode 3, you said you were isolating, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, COVID has breached the walls of my house, unfortunately. So
Oh, damn.
yeah, there's 3 of them are official with it, and I'm the last man standing right now, and we'll know in
Damn.
about 10 hours whether I've got it or not.
Shit. Are they okay though? Like not bad
Yeah, they're
cases
fine.
or...
They're fine.
Okay,
They're
good.
all right.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
main thing. That's the
They're all
main
right.
thing.
When I sent you the plan for this episode, I was slightly delirious. That was like my most delirious point. So I don't know if any of that makes sense. I might have just been chatting the
No, I
most
liked it.
like
I've got it
nonsense
up.
ever.
No,
But, you know.
it's good. No, that's right. We need like a plan, and then if we deviate, we deviate. But
Yeah.
it's one of those. Oh man, but how are you anyway? Aside from
Otherwise,
all that.
aside from that, honestly, I'm in a great place right now. Honestly, everything's kind of going really well, like personally, business-wise, all that kind of stuff. So I'm doing this thing called the 12-week year, where you kind of break the year into quarters effectively, and you focus on like 1 to 3 like real things that you want to accomplish, like big things. So I started that this year, and yeah, it's really focused me actually, really focused, because sometimes I'm a bit scatterbrained sometimes in terms of like I have like a million ideas, and then don't execute them properly. So that's good. I'm glad with that. And otherwise, yeah, everything else is cool. So how about you?
Good, man. Yeah, I'm all good. I can't complain. Just busy as hell, but it's fine. Life is good. Just trying to get everything done that I can in the limited time that we always seem to have every day. Spinning plates, but I like it this way, so I'm not going to complain. Like it's cool.
Same. Yeah.
Just it's one of those, isn't it? Keeps us going. So crypto, interesting day to do it on. I kind of like it because we haven't done one on a day like this yet. Every time we do it, it's like it's always going up and it all looks good. So I like it on days maybe where people are feeling the fear and concern maybe a little bit. But what did you make of the last year? Obviously, since the last time we spoke, how did it all like?
Last time we spoke was in September, right? I think, yeah, it was kind of on the up back then, and it's gone back down a bit and stuff like that. I think everyone's kind of realizing that maybe we were right at the beginning of it, like back last March, where this might be a super cycle. It might run until about May time. Conversely, this might be it for a while. we might be and not even really fully realize it. So, but I do think it feels like we're going to May now, or around that time, whether it's March, April, May, whatever it is, and everything's just been kind of extended out a bit. But how about you?
Yeah, I'm inclined to say the same. I mean, I personally planned as if it was all going to end in December, so that's how I acted as well. So I'm hugely risk off at the moment. I'm still exposed, but not nowhere near the level of exposure I was at for the last 2 years. But 2 years of it, I think, is enough in a highly risky, especially some of the shit I was in. Like, I'd rather. So right now, I'm more. There's certain opportunities that I think will come up and have been coming up, because I will talk about days like this when you spot certain outperformers. There's certain things the market will tell you. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm quite comfortable with how it played out. I'm also very aware of the fact that I can't be right all the time. So the fact that I risked off in December and then suddenly this is happening, I can't have been right. So this just feels like a shakeout to me. This doesn't feel like, people sound like it's a bear market, but actually Bitcoin at $41,779 to be exact is not bear market territory. Like, and Ethereum at 3.1 it's a bear market territory. So it's right now, I don't believe it, but then I maybe have the luxury of not being so risk on that I maybe wouldn't mind if it happened. So I maybe have that cognitive bias towards it at the moment anyway. I maybe would have felt about that quite differently last year had this happened. But yeah, okay. So you asked, do you think it was a breakthrough year for crypto? In what aspect do you mean that, like mainstream wise? Like,
yeah, I mean, just in terms of the last 12 months, let's take 2021, because we're in January now, we can review the year quite nicely. And we're going to do that a bit more later. But do you think this was kind of like a breakthrough year into international consciousness?
I think so. El Salvador was 2021, right?
Yeah.
I think just on that basis alone, I think it 100% was, because I don't think El Salvador was, I mean, all right, they were obviously the first country to legalize it as a payment option and make it sort of legal tender, but they're definitely not the first country to put it on their balance sheet, but they're probably the first to admit it. So I thought that was very healthy. I think there's certain parts of it maybe I didn't like the whole Elon Musk saga. I think it ended up, to me as an outsider, I'd look at it and I think it gives it a bit of a bad rap. So I'm not too keen on that aspect of it. But generally speaking, I think it has got a lot of exposure. I definitely think the narrative around crypto is a lot more positive compared to what it used to. Before, it was just drug dealer money, then it was money launderers money. Now the only idiotic arguments I see is like the NFT environment ones, and you're buying an NFT, you must be money laundering, those sort of that. But if that's as stupid as it gets now, it's actually not as bad as what it was before. So I think public knowledge has definitely got there. But yeah, I think it might be. I think it might have been, to be fair. I think it might have been the best one so far as a whole sort of consciousness. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. If you take it just on the surface level, if you stopped pretty much anyone in the street and just said, have you heard of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and NFTs? I think they say yes for all three now. Whereas a year ago, they would have said, yeah, I've heard of Bitcoin, don't know what it is really. Ethereum, maybe not, probably not. And NFTs, I mean, I barely knew what NFTs were a year ago. So let's be real. So yeah. So I think on that basis alone, then yeah, and more institutions, corporations, big players coming into the space, and yeah, okay, you have Elon Musk kind of being a bit of a dick and stuff like that, fine, but you know, I think there's enough serious players coming into it where it's starting to mature. I still think we're in like a Wild West phase of crypto. There's still rug pulls all over the place. There are still scammers all over the place. But that's not to do with crypto being a scam. It's just because scammers are attracted by anything, right? Like whatever's easy money to them, they'll do it. So you know.
Yeah, exactly that. But yeah, overall, I would say it was quite positive, which is nice. So I'm just getting up a Bitcoin chart.
So whilst you're doing that, if I talk about the total market cap, I think it kind of peaked around near 3 trillion in November. And I remember us saying back in March, I think it hadn't even breached around 1 trillion at that point. And so for it to keep kind of stepping up steadily, it's kind of dropped a bit down to about 2 trillion now, but that's to be expected. Well, I think gradually, as we see over the next kind of 4 years, especially, you're going to see it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it broaches close to 10 trillion in the next bull run, say, if we say 4 years.
No. What's the market cap of like the stock market overall?
I think we said about 80 trill, something like that.
80 trillion. Yeah, there's no reason why that doesn't get to 10.
I think that's what we said last time. That's what we said last time.
Yeah, there's no reason why it doesn't. It is now accepted that this is an asset. It is now accepted that people like you and I would say, hey, a percentage into maybe Bitcoin and Ethereum into a pension portfolio actually sounds sensible, and somebody wouldn't laugh you out the room at that idea, whereas 3 years ago I think they would have. But I think now, if you said, yeah, my pension plan is I'm gonna stake a bunch of Ethereum, they go, okay, that makes sense. Probably a good plan. So yeah, yeah, 100%. I definitely think market cap is going to continue exploding, but I think it will happen in like rapid phases. I think you'll have it do what it's doing right now. Then, like right now, capital inflow is a bit strange. I don't think anyone's buying our bags right now. But they'll come and buy our bags eventually, and we'll dump it all on them. And that's when, because you have these moments, like you said, it grew to like 3 trillion. At that point, there's no more buyers, so it has to come down.
Yeah,
like there's no more buyers for it, right? Let them dump all the shit on these guys, all the Ponzi's go to zero, then you kind of start again. So yeah, generally speaking, I see that quite comfortably. 2022 right now. I reckon by the time we get to 2030, it's just like, I don't know. I can see like Bloomberg having a crypto desk, like, you know, you watch CNBC and there will be a crypto section, and it'll be entirely normal for a cartoon from Twitter to be sitting there telling you about what's going on with the markets that day. So I think we're definitely getting there now. Still early-ish, but getting later and later now. We are starting to get to those points where I think every bank is scrambling. And from any contacts I speak to, banks are fucking scrambling, man. Like they're in every single platform now. They're in Aave. They're in everything. They're in everything.
Wow.
They're playing around with everything. They're investing. There is money, which is why you're seeing these corrections and why you're not seeing the massive jumps anymore. It's evident institutions are in, because in an illiquid market, yes, prices can go up and down, but they now can test liquidity very quickly. And if the liquidity is there, then your asset just ain't going to move. And some of our coins will move like they're stable coins, basically, which has its plus points. But, you know, if you want institutions and you want mainstream, these are all the things that come with it, don't they?
Yeah, and I think there's lessons to be learned from 100 years ago. If you look at the Roaring Twenties, like the 1920s, they had the Spanish flu, just like what we got. And then it went into the stock market was the huge narrative of the 1920s.
And then big up Wavy Boy Smith. Yes.
And then the last couple of years, it just popped and, you know, made paupers out of a lot of people. And crypto is literally that right now. The stock market is the so is crypto right now. And it's tracking pretty well. So I think that's something to learn from, where maybe just stop trying to get rich quick and invest in things that make sense, basically. So, and I'm seeing a lot of like the money flow into NFTs as well, from what I can see. So it's not going outside of crypto; it's just redistributing. Like even for myself, you know, to be honest, I haven't put any new money into crypto since probably the summer when prices were really low, and I put a bit in then. Since our last talk, I haven't put a single penny in except into NFTs. So in terms of into coins, no, nothing. But NFTs, I've been going like all into NFTs basically, and that's been doing well for me. So you know,
nice. Yeah. I mean,
so
are you full DJing on NFTs, or what are you doing? Are you sensible? Like how? Because I view you as a very sensible person. Like, how are you sensibly doing NFTs?
Okay, first things first. My mum almost beat me to the punch in buying her first NFT and me buying my first. And I was like, I can't have that. Just like pride. And like, cause she emailed me, she was like, Jesal, I want to buy this NFT, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, shit, I better go on it. Premz has been telling me for 6 months now, let's just do it. And as some of you may know, like, you know, long-time viewers and listeners, I'm invested in Ecomi, and the ticker is OMI. And they own an app called Vivi, which is an NFT app. So that's like an official place. It's not Ethereum. You're not kind of like in the Wild West and all that kind of stuff. It's not OpenSea, anything like that. It's basically like a closed loop. They've got loads of official licensees, Spider-Man, Marvel, this, that, and then they had a huge Disney thing in November. And so October, November, I just went all in on that. Like, I was just like, bang. And yeah, it's done really well. Like, I'll tell a little anecdote. One of my mates, his favorite character is Iron Man. Like, he's just obsessed with Iron Man.
Yeah.
And he was like, what's this Vivi thing you keep tweeting about? And I said, just give it a try. On his first go, now all of the drops on Vivi, no matter what it is, sell out in 1 second. 1 second. Yeah. And you're talking around like 30,000 things will go in 1 second. He picked up two Iron Mans, right, for like $60 or whatever.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was looking at the worth of it, and it jumped up 42x in 10 weeks. And I texted him this, and he couldn't believe it. He was just absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
So
That's wild.
things like that, that is wild, but it's all official as well. That's the thing. So it's kind of like,
yeah, I've been following it because my barber keeps telling me about it as well, and he never manages to get a drop. Like, I know he keeps trying, he's like failed with every single one, but I have been keeping an eye on it only because I heard Pokemon rumors.
I was just about to say.
So because I heard Pokemon rumors, I was looking at it, and then in my head I was like, oh, that's why Jesal wanted to learn about Pokemon a month ago.
That's exactly it.
Right? Yeah, cool. So this is how well I know you. So yeah, so I
you know me too well,
rumors,
right?
so I have kind of been following it, but I haven't personally invested. There was just a question: is like I'm just looking at it. So what is it? Is it down to the individual, or are there general investments that make sense for all? I think if we're looking at crypto overall, I think the investment that makes sense for everybody is a small percentage of your net worth, because it is high risk, irrespective of what anyone says about the market. This is still a market, then correct 90%. I think if you go 50% Bitcoin, 50% Ethereum, it will be slow and steady gains. You'll outperform inflation. You'll outperform the stock market. You'll be fine. Yeah, I would think the one thing that everyone kind of gets sucked into is like they'll come into crypto, they won't buy Bitcoin, they won't buy Ethereum, they'll go straight and buy fucking Snowdog or something, then they'll lose all their money. That's the problem. But if you just buy like the big blue chips, it's the same way. Like if you're about to invest in the stock market, buy a little bit of S&P, a little bit of Nasdaq, little bit of FTSE. Will it be boring? Yes. Will you make life-changing returns even in 5 years? No. But between now and retirement, you'll have a pretty good gain, and that'll be something that can pay for something in your retirement, right? And pay for your numerous holidays, etc. So that I would say is that. But back to NFTs, because NFTs are like my favorite thing now. I actually don't care about anything else but NFTs. I would go as far to say this: if you're trading a stack below 100,000, you should not be in coins. You should solely be in NFTs. There is no value to be had in these fucking useless shit coins. There isn't. I'm bored of them. I think they're crap. I prefer the rush of putting them in pictures of fucking kittens and then just waiting. Honestly, I love it. I honestly love it. If you could see the stuff in my wallet that I've hidden, Jesal, you laugh. Honestly,
all right, so
I'll show you one.
Let me ask you this, right? So like I said, I admitted earlier, a year ago, I barely knew what NFTs were, right? In January. Yeah. You were already on it, right? So how do you think like NFTs have gone throughout the whole past year, and also your own like kind of personal journey? That what's been your favorite things and stuff?
So NFTs have been great because you kind of had this explosion. So I remember crypto kittens, right, back in 2017, and I remember when people were buying these things called crypto kitties with Ethereum, and back then, I remember I had no understanding of what an NFT was and why people would buy these pictures of these fucking cartoon kittens, yeah? But let me check the floor price of crypto. It's not crypto keys. Or is it crypto cats? It might have been this. What's the floor price on the... All right, so the floor price on these, bro, is 5 Ethereum. Now, yeah, you would have minted these at like 0.01 ETH when ETH was worth about £100. Yeah.
Wow.
They're worth 5 Ethereum right now. And that's the floor price. And floor price is your support level. That's the shittest ones are going for 5. Your better ones and your rarer ones. So like when I started getting into it more so last year, and I was finding particular projects, like the people around me think I'm nuts, by the way. Like, if I show them what I'm doing, like it's weird, but there's certain projects that I have invested into that I believe in, I guess, or I just like the images. I like the suggested utility. My only problem with what happened with NFTs last year is obviously we had a really hot summer because the money had kind of flowed out the coins. We needed something to do. So yeah, let's pump the JPEGs instead. Then what started to happen is people were just releasing And it didn't really happen so much on Ethereum. It happened more on Solana. But people were just releasing NFT collections, dropping them, do the mint, and then rugging everyone. And then just disappear. And they were taking like 10 SOL from everyone, which at that point was about $2,000. So that then I think obviously caused some sort of correction, because you'd now go, okay, everyone's getting rugged. That's very top things. Let's maybe get out of it. I think we're now over this last 3-4 weeks starting to see like a resurgence in a lot of the sort of like quality NFT projects. You're just freezing for me. You hear now?
Yeah, you're freezing a bit as well.
It's just spinning. So there's been certain ones like Capsule House that I really like, which 4 weeks ago you could have picked up for about 0.2, 0.3 ETH. I think the floor is up at 1.5 at the moment. It got to about 1.9 yesterday. 1.59 the floor's at right now for a Capsule House. So there's certain ones which I think are really cool. There's some I've just bought for no reason because I like the images. Maybe I have too much money. I definitely don't, but I act like I do when I'm spending Ethereum. And then there's just been certain things that have just paid off, like having an ENS from early. Generally, trading NFTs has been rewarding because you had the SOS airdrop at Christmas. You had the Lux Rare airdrop last week, which is just free money for buying and selling on things like, well, literally for buying and selling on OpenSea. You got at minimum about $1,000 in free money just to have played around. So similar to what we were saying in our last thing, was if you do nothing in crypto, just go and mess around with everything, you will get paid for it. You will always get paid for it. Like, you don't have to trade. Like, the one thing I do hate is everyone thinks they have to be a trader. You don't have to be a trader. You don't, because we're not all going to be traders. We're not all going to be good traders at that. If you just go and mess about with everything and learn about it, you'll find utility. You'll find things that you like and you're interested in. And if you're lucky, you might just get rewarded for playing with the platform early. But yeah, I think generally NFTs have been really fun. I found them more interesting so than some of the projects because they kind of just took care of themselves, and I became more of a passive holder for that last quarter as opposed to trading. I just bet on L1s very heavy, and that was it. That was the trade for the year, really.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've barely been touching any coins now. Like I said, I haven't put any new money into it. And NFTs, I have been doing some outside of VV, not loads, but a few here and there, just trying to get early into a few. So that's been quite cool and quite interesting. Yeah. But VV itself is smashing it. Like, for example, I picked up one that was, it was actually R2D2. So I didn't get it on the drop, which was in the beginning of November. I got it on the marketplace. I probably paid about $300 for it for like a nice low mint, and I think that's just hitting today about 10 grand. So yeah, and this is like official. Yeah, like money is flowing. Well, no, it's not flowing. It's flooding into VV like properly. So things like that, like, you know, that's why I'm really glad that I just sort of invested my time into something that I believe in. I was going to say to people out there, you know, again, like Premz is saying, you don't have to be a trader. You don't have to do everything. You can just mess around with stuff, and whatever sort of tickles your fancy, get interested in it and just experiment. You don't have to chuck loads of money. Even if we always tell you, put $100 in. That's all you have to do. Just mess around with stuff. Yeah. I mean, you know, to further what you're saying, one of the guys I know, I've known him for about 10 years. He's into cool cats and stuff like that. I mean, he's not touching any coins now. He's just doing NFTs, except for ENS. And he tweeted out, it got a bit of traction actually, that tweet. When there was that airdrop, he got 50 grand's worth of those tokens. I mean, that's nuts. Even he was shocked, like, you know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So he was squatting on a lot of names then.
Yeah, he got a few. So,
yeah, smart thing to do. Man, honestly, like I genuinely believe that, and it probably will sound crazy to people, but I think if you're trading under 100 grand, just being NFTs, like, that's the only way you're gonna, like, for me personally, I denominate my whole portfolio in Ethereum. So when I'm trading NFTs, I mean, I'm doing Ethereum blockchain ones. But I'll tell you projects that I particularly like at the moment. I like Chubby Whales and Chubby Verse. They're quite cool. Capsule House, like I said, is dope. Cup Cats is all right. Maybe I overinvested, but my investments are with good companies and good JPEGs. They'll come back. And then Loomlock NFT is quite cool. But I think the best one I found last year was something called DeFi Kingdoms. And it's a game. But it's a game that has tradable NFTs. So it's like a RuneScape type of thing. If you ever played that. The DEX is on the game. So the only way to buy Jewel, which is the currency for the game, is by playing the game and buying it on the DEX. Jewel has gone up from about $1 in October to a high of $22 last week, trading at about 16, 17 at the moment. And that's on the Harmony network. And I know you're fond of.
Oh, yeah.
Harmony.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a holder of Harmony, actually. Yeah.
Cool. So, all right. So you need to look at DeFi Kingdoms. So now what's going to happen next is they're now going to go cross-chain to Avalanche as well. So if you're holding and staking Jewel, they've taken a snapshot over the last 2 weeks. You're now going to get an equal amount of a coin called Crystal, which will be DeFi Kingdoms on Avalanche. And they're going to make this multi-network. And the APYs you've been getting by holding like one Jewel as a pair, it's been 1,000% APY.
Wow.
And I look at DeFi Kingdoms as an NFT play, not a coin play, because you spend your Jewel on the characters, you level them up, you summons and take them on missions and shit. Again, it's hilarious. Your wife's going to spot you doing it. She's going to think you're bugging. It doesn't matter. Honestly, doesn't matter, man. It's fine. But yeah, that DeFi Kingdoms is super, super cool. Like, one takeaway from me, anyone should take from this, is DeFi Kingdoms. I couldn't be more bullish on something ever. Like, if you could literally, I think, put all your money into Jewel this year and go to sleep, or just go on holiday and then come back to your portfolio at the end of the year. Genuinely. Wow. And even if you're staking it as well, you've got the APY on your side. But I think Jewel is the easiest trade. And right now with this thing on Avalanche, Crystal is just a Jewel play all over again. So it's like giving you a replay. If you didn't do it the first time, you can do it again and catch the trade the second time, essentially.
Okay, I'd urge people to keep like watching or listening and not just like log off and go straight onto DeFi Kingdom.
Yeah,
give us like another half an hour or so. Yeah, just chill.
Yeah.
Then we'll all jump off.
Yeah. But yeah, so all right. So for you, VV is the one. I'm gonna maybe look into VV a little bit more seriously now. But
once Pokemon hits,
do they take? Yeah.
Once Pokemon hits, sorry.
Have they given a date on that though?
They have NDAs, really strict NDAs on everything. So they cannot say anything until literally they're ready to roll it out. But the thing is with Pokemon, the chief advisor to VV is this guy called Al Khan, who is basically like the don of bringing Pokemon to all the masses, like in the West. And so he's like the main guy in terms of negotiating and all this kind of stuff. So the pulling power, they've got like over 200 licensees that have never even dropped yet. So you've already had Disney, you've had Marvel, you've got DC, you've got all these like cool artists as well and stuff. And it's just the most no-brainer thing. And because I'm doubled up in OMI as well, I've got a lot of OMI I got in nice and early, as people may remember from March. Then it's like a double play. And this year they're launching the VV-verse, so they've got a metaverse as well, where you can actually have all your NFTs and you'll be able to buy land and stuff. And luckily I should be able to be in a position to buy land, and then that will make more money for me. So, so it's just a no-brainer to me, like that. And like you were saying before, sorry, your question, I cut you off, was how do you actually pay for it? I mean, if you've got an iTunes account or a Google Play Store account, you just buy the gems through there. So you have gems, which is one gem equals $1. You just buy up to however many you want, like in 600 increments, from like 5 to 600. And then you just go in and spend them. That's it. And then you can also sell them in the marketplace. Like I was quite lucky actually. Like I sort of bought something quite cheap because someone had made a bit of a mistake. They didn't realize how much it's worth. I sold it, bang, made like a 5x profit in 15 minutes kind of thing. This was just last week. And
Wow.
and they have like a steady drop of things every week and stuff. So from like the comics are only $6.99, like $6.99. And if you get lucky on a drop, I mean that could be worth $1,000 in like half an hour. Do you know what I mean? It's just like
So are
all,
you buying it all
legit,
on the drop, or are you buying on secondary market and
I
overpaying
mean,
a little bit on a long-term bet?
So here's the thing. One of the reasons I'm so bullish is this time last year, or around February last year, there were 10,000 people using VV trying to get drops, right? It's now up to 1.5 million. Now, the team had not envisaged this. They were like, okay, we might be up to like 30, 40,000 by the end of 2021. They did not see this coming. So that's why it's been like a bit of a catch up for them. But now you're competing regularly with 200,000 people on every drop. Everything goes out in 1 second. So realistically, I've had some really good runs. I've been lucky getting drops at all, but that will change. Like this year, I'll barely get any drops. So it's mostly marketplace kind of stuff, to be honest. So,
all right, quite similar to like
really
NFTs generally, though. Like anything I've bought, I've done a lot of minting, but I always tell people I think minting's a rich man's game as well. Like only mint if you can afford it, and you should be minting quite a few of something, so you can sell one if it starts going crazy, and you've got the rest to capture the really big return in a year, if that's how long it takes. Like if you sold CryptoPunks after the first week, you would have made no money. But if you waited a few years, then it would have been something. So that's interesting. Okay, so VV is obviously definitely worth a look, but it will be time and research for someone who's serious, really, to sit there and comb through.
Once Pokemon hits, that's going to take it to the next level as well. Like Pokemon,
but the Pokemon scalpers are madmen, man. Madmen or women, like they're crazy. Like once the Pokemon scalpers enter anything, like they're horrible. But people overpay the shit out of Pokemon stuff, so it's going to be phenomenal. Like I'd go as far to say I've bought so many Charizard cards on secondary market, and then 3 months later sold it for like triple. So I don't imagine NFTs will be any different, where just buy it on secondary for someone. Some people just like to sell straight away, don't they? So it's like just buy it from the paper hand, like half an hour later. They'll make their whatever profit. Then you just hold it with some conviction afterwards, which why not? That sounds fun. I'm gonna play around with some VV stuff then. I'll report back to you. But I think I'll play around with some. That looks interesting.
It is very addictive, I have to warn you.
But that's my problem with NFTs, man. Like it is addictive, and it's just kind of like they're worthless JPEGs, aren't they? And it's just like I can't have my net worth stuck in these things, but I do, don't I? So what do I do now? But the market's going sideways. The market's doing nothing. So it's like,
but listen, it's fun, right? It's fun. It's just so much fun, and like especially on VV because there's a lot of things normal people will actually recognize as well. You know, I think on OpenSea there's a lot of like really cool, dope, edgy, random artists. There's a lot of this kind of like everything is an ape right now. It's kind of, if I see one more ape like deviation, it's just ridiculous. It's just so overdone now, and a lot of these things are rug pulls as well. You know, we have to say. So that's only going to drive more people to VV when they realize it's like a legit platform. You're not going to get ripped off at any point, really. Like you'd have to be like absolutely stupid and go off chain to be ripped off, basically. So
So one question I did. Someone sent a question earlier actually, and they basically said, "Will NFTs be here now in the long term, or will they be a rug pull?" I know we both know the answer to that, but like, how would you articulate the answer to someone who maybe it's obviously someone who just heard about it, they think it's just like scammy? Like, how would you answer that question? You know, if any normal person who's not familiar with it.
My answer would be twofold. First of all, humans like collecting stuff. All of us like collecting stuff, and we all form affinities to inanimate objects or technology or this or that, whatever it is. And that's not going to change. People have been doing it since the dawn of time, you know. So, you know, what's the difference between an NFT and a baseball card? You know what I mean? Like realistically in that respect. I think one of the reasons NFTs are going to be huge is because there will be the ability to make them do more. You know, you'll be able to put it in the metaverse. That's the first time we mentioned that word, and we're like 35 minutes in, so I'm quite impressed. But AR, all that kind of stuff, and then you can just even like, you know, you're able to drive things around and stuff like that and have fun and la la la, you know. So I think it's that kind of, and my kids, oh my God, like when they know I'm doing a VB drop, trying to get a VB drop, they would join in them with that, Daddy, can we try as well? Can we try as well? Can we try?
Nah, that's dope. That's dope.
And
Yeah,
and
yeah,
actually,
that's crazy.
they know that the likelihood is we're not going to get it, and they don't care because then they play around with my entire collection for about half an hour, and they love it so much. So you see that.
Wait,
purity.
is there Baby Yodas? Is there Baby Yodas on VB?
Baby Yoda's not there yet, but
okay,
I'm
cool.
sure Baby Yoda will come, and that will be huge.
Because I'll start dropping crazy. That's when I'll start.
I'll message you as soon as Baby Yoda comes.
Yeah, bro, that's when I'll start. Yeah, bro. Yeah. I'll fire up all the iPhones. I'll fire up all the iPhones to get that drop. Shit.
No, but they love it. Like if you see the purity of these kids, and they're going to grow up with it, so it's going to be a generational thing. You know, yeah. I mean, there are always going to be bubbles within bubbles, right?
Of course.
But I think NFTs are here to stay for sure.
Good. Yeah, I completely agree. I was trying to explain it to somebody the other day, and I was like, look, blockchain, just generally blockchain solves so many issues. If you look at the things like the land registry and things like that, there's so many issues that get solved here. I was like, you start adding NFTs and stuff into things like the land registry, I was like, life becomes so simple, but the problem is it starts taking away so many fucking jobs that people don't want it to happen. But the reality is it solves a lot of problems, and it will be here for life. Will we have pictures of cartoon apes forever? No, obviously not. Like all of the bullshit parts of it will go, but they'll be replaced by other bullshit parts of it. But the technology itself will remain and will continue. What was I going to say? I thought of something and I kind of missed it as well.
If I can jump in at that point, whilst you're sort of racking your brain.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, obviously, NFTs was one of the hugest narratives of 2021. I think moving forward, maybe not immediately this year, but I think gaming in crypto is going to be huge. Like, obviously, you're playing Axie went like incredibly well. Yeah. But Axie's not even the best game, right? I mean, let's be legit.
It's actually shit. Yeah.
If that was on the Switch,
I'm telling you, DeFi Kingdoms.
If Axie was on the Switch, would you pay $29.99 for it to actually just play it? I mean, no one would really in their right mind. But you getting paid to actually play it, then suddenly it's attractive to a whole lot of people. And then as things progress over the next few years, as huge corporations like EA start incorporating crypto of their own bat, things are going to get bigger and bigger. Like, so gaming, you know, I mean, I think most people in crypto know gaming's huge. Well, it's going to be even bigger. But if you're just getting into it, it will be huge. So
yeah. When they clock gaming, it will be massive. When they get it and they get it right. Like you said, right now the only incentive to play these games is the financial incentive. But when you're willing to pay for it and not get paid to play it, and it's a very enjoyable game, then it's unstoppable. But the good thing is gaming companies are so forward thinking. The only problem is they need to stop this whole narrative of who did the deal with Tezos, and then it suddenly went all quiet last month or month before. But one of the gaming companies did.
I can't remember who it was.
You remember? And then they just because of the environmental stuff. So that's why I was like, you need to get rid of some of these environmental bullshit narratives, because it's like the EA aren't going to get involved until the environmental stuff is going on. Not why Greta Thunberg exists, bro, because it's like it's all just going to get completely messed up, and they don't need the negative press. So that's the only thing. Safe projects to DCA into for the holders among us. I'll be honest with you, I'm the wrong person to ask about holding. Just so you can answer that.
I'm going to pull the do your own research card, because I think, you know, it is a thing in crypto, DYOR, do your own research, because you could get like 50 different answers from 50 different people. I could say Hedera hash graph is like, to me, seems like a no-brainer in the next decade. To other people, they'll look at it and think, well, you know, this, that. Or they'll look at the price action and think, no, this doesn't make any sense or whatever. So I think it really does pay to, there's so much out there in crypto that you can find something that suits you and your personality.
And
then just go for it.
I'm willing to get rugged, but I think you have to be willing to get rugged in this game, kind of to enjoy it and get to know everything. I couldn't tell you what's safe, but if you're leaning towards gaming and NFTs, 100%. if you do your research and find the right projects, you'll be fine. Just remember, NFTs are highly illiquid, like highly illiquid. And go into it knowing that, because it's not just a case of, if you need liquidity and you need to sell your Ethereum, you can do that in an instant and have the money in your bank account within the hour. An NFT, however, unless you want to get completely lowballed for it, it's highly illiquid. It's like trying to sell your house and get money for it on the same day. It's very rarely going to happen unless, so I don't really want to shill coins to people, guys, just because there's too many now. It's one of those. All I would say is this: keep an eye on the meta game. If I give people if there's any talent I think in my head I have developed in crypto, is I'm able to spot a meta game early and just go heavy on it, and then just leave it and not do anything with it and just watch it. And when it gets to my level, I come out. Like L1s was the meta game last year. Right now, the meta game has been the L1s that no one looked at last year, like your Atom, FTM, One. Like Harmony didn't get love last year, but it's getting love now. Those L1s, like Solana, completely gone to shit. It goes down every day. That's gone. Luna still looks okay. AVAX still looks okay, but generally speaking, the other L1s are doing better. ZK rollups might be a theme, but the fact that everybody thinks it might be a theme, I'm leaning towards that it won't be a theme, because we're not ever all right. So that can't be correct, which is why I don't think we're in a bear market either, because everybody thinks we're in a bear market. And that's not when bear markets come. Bear markets come when everybody thinks we're in a bull market, not the opposite. But yeah, there's so many different, and you've got the Ethereum merge that may apparently happen come July. Vitalik seems quite confident it will happen then. That potentially could be a theme if and when it actually happens. There's so many now, there's different industries within crypto that I don't think you could have a mass-wide bear market anymore. I think the blue chips could have a bear market, and your L1s could be green, and your metaverse plays might be green, but your NFTs are red. And I just think it depends where you're allocating, and it will be like your growth stocks and things like that. And you'll have different cycles within crypto now, as opposed to just the crypto market. But I could be wrong. We haven't seen a proper bear market come yet. That's when we will know for sure what things look like. But in my head, if the market is as mature as I think it is now, that's what I think will happen. But who knows?
And I'd add to that, if you look at it as something where there's all these different parts of crypto that are always constantly changing really quickly, but if you can get to a point where you've got a diversified portfolio, sounds super boring. I sound like a wanker banker or some shit, but honestly, a diversified portfolio will just keep you more relaxed and keep you sleeping sweetly at night. Honestly, because right now, some of my bags are my NFTs are just going whoosh and propping the whole thing up. And then other parts of my crypto are going fine. And then some are just treading water. So I'm relaxed because there's a nice spread there. So I think that's quite important. You can't instantly do that in a week. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It takes a while to do that. But there will be opportunities to do that. So just take your time, take it nice and slow, and just be methodical kind of thing.
So on that, what do you, what do you think happens here then? Because obviously we're in an interesting point. Where do you think we are? Do you think we're bull? Do you think we're in a mini bear cycle right now? Are you of the belief that Fed raising interest rates come March is the expectation? What does that do? I'm not even going to say just for crypto, just generally stock markets, crypto, interest rates go up 15 basis points. What does that do?
It's really difficult to call because there's so many people pulling it in so many different directions and trying to make sure that the system doesn't collapse effectively.
Yeah.
So, can they print more money with their magic money printer? Will that make a difference? Will that make it worse? You know what? I've given up trying to predict it, to be honest, because I think I spent a lot of last year thinking and looking too far ahead, thinking what's going to happen, especially macro-wise. And now, honestly, I take things on a week-by-week basis pretty much. And I'm much more relaxed that way. So, I still think inflation is going to be a big issue. I don't know what it's going to affect exactly, and whether it's going to affect my bags personally, whether it's going to affect like the cost of living and this and that. What I can see is there's loads of stuff that's going up in price and stuff that's costing more. And, you know, let's just take it step by step, basically. So, I mean, that's my kind of like I'm speaking from the more emotional, like rational, you know, trying to keep my emotions in check kind of level there. But what do you think?
I think I agree with you. I've given up trying to predict anything. I've accepted that we are in a market I am not familiar with anymore at all. Inflation going up was never bullish. It is now. I just had this meeting with my team last week because I just saw the people that do the CPI data in America updated that the weighting for food and energy is now going to be less in the CPI readings. So naturally, inflation is going to come lower over the next 6 months in America because it's food and energy that's raising the prices. If it's less weighted in the CPI number, the numbers will go lower. So there's so many ways you can look at this and say, are they trying to manipulate it to go lower so they don't have to raise rates as much? And before you know it, you've checkmated yourself into not doing anything. Whereas markets go up and down. If we truly believe there's different sectors within everything that we kind of invest in, being 100% cash is always nonsensical. That never makes sense because inflation is going to erode you away. Just don't overinvest and try and have fun with it. But in reality, we've been gifted with a 2-year bull run so far. So even if it ends right now, I'm pretty happy with the last 2 years, and I will happily DCA my way into a next bull run in 4 years. And I would relish that opportunity. But again, I'm more risk off than risk on right now, which is maybe why I'm saying that, because I probably have the bias. And I know that coins going down is good for my NFTs. And that's all I care about right now.
And I would add to that, there are still people who are underwater who basically bought in at the top, like last March or whatever, and sold when it hit the bottom. And then they've tried to, you know what I mean? And like, that probably would have been me a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? I can't even hate on them. I wouldn't hate. I just feel bad for them. And they're the ones who are like, you know, okay, has this really felt like a 2-year bull run to them? No, not at all, because they timed it, you know, misfortunately, and all that. You know, I do feel bad for people because you want people to, you know, I think one of the comments earlier said like people get into crypto and think they're going to 10x in a day and be millionaires and stuff like that. That's not going to happen. You know?
Never.
And so, you know, if you have more realistic expectations and take the attitude where you want to learn in depth about something and really throw yourself into it, just forget about the money to an extent and then just learn. The more you learn, the more money you'll make.
Yep. Yeah, this isn't going anywhere. Like being experienced and knowing your way around. Like right now, I guarantee if you went to Goldman Sachs in London and said, hey, I know my way around DeFi. I've got ways to get delta neutral returns for your bank. Can I get a position? They'll say, okay, prove it to us. And yeah, for sure. I'm pretty confident of that. I'm pretty confident I could go to Goldman Sachs today and say that, or any major bank, because I know where the demand is right now and I can see that. And I think if you're like me, I mean, I'm a weirdo though. Like I do sit there and track wallets and things like that because my whole game with crypto, like for me, the game theory is you got to get to a point where you can get delta neutral returns and get great returns through things like stable coins. That's utopia, where risk is low, you're hedged, and you can still outperform pretty much all indexes. That is utopia with minimal arbitrage value. However, that comes with some financial knowledge. However, I'll tell you this, some of the best option players I know in crypto have never read a fucking derivatives book or worked in a bank or done anything in finance, but they understand DeFi, they understand liquidity, and they're now literal market makers. So it does show that it's leveled the playing field, but crypto now is equal opportunity, unequal results. That's where we are now. It's not, hey, you'll just get lucky in Doge or you'll get lucky in like, I don't know, Shiba or something. Like those opportunities will always happen, but don't worry, you're not going to be a part of any of them. You will not have the balls to do it and you will not hold all that weight. I literally know a guy who put 10 grand in Shiba, right? It went all the way down to about 2K. He sold at 2K. Now, when that massive pump happened, I don't even want to calculate how much that would have been. I don't even know if he's still alive. Personally.
Shit.
And I mean that on a real level.
Wow.
Like, he was already emotionally unstable. He lost all that money. His wife was going mental. And this is what I mean. Like, it's these sort of stories here, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, why was that what you like? Yes, actually, it would have paid off, but even in hindsight, it was still a stupid decision to go all into that. Do you get what I mean? And that's what kind of like annoys me. And it's where like I know we wanted to talk about regulation kind of creeping in. That is kind of where it's like, please give us some regulation here on something, because people shouldn't be allowed. They should be, because there's some people that have made generational wealth off that, and I want them to. And then there's the idiot that loses it all. But also, for me to win, I need you to lose. That's trading. Unfortunately, that is the market. We can't both win. If I'm buying, you have to be selling.
I mean, did you see KSI's tweet like today or yesterday?
Yeah,
I don't
was
know
that
if
trolling
it was
those P&Ls?
I don't know if he was trolling or not. Yeah. So, but I'm sure, like, if you take the sort of kernel of truth from it, there are a lot of people who've just been wiped out by leverage. We keep every episode we tell you people,
we say it.
Yeah, do not touch leverage unless you know exactly what you're doing. And even then, in crypto, leverage is very, very risky. It's like treble risky compared to what it is in the stock market or FX, to be honest.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you know, I understand that we all have stuff going on. We all have financial pressures for sure. Yeah. But get rich quick hardly ever works, like, honestly, because your emotional state, you need to be so level-headed and so, like, right now, regardless of anything, like, my mind, like, it's like the surface of a pond. Yeah, you could chuck anything in there, right? And actually, it doesn't ripple too much. Yeah, I'm in a really good zone right now. But there's times when I'm not. There's times when it'll get really choppy. And that's when you don't want to be trading. You don't want to make crazy moves. Yeah? And that's often when you want to or need to make that money fast. And that's the irony of it. The more you need it, the more you will screw up, like, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It is the happy-go-lucky thing, though. Like, everything we really need and want, we don't get. And then when we just indifferent and don't care, you kind of, the world will just fall at your feet, because that's why they say, people that win the lottery once usually win it again, because they don't need the money. They can still continue playing for the joke of it, and they end up winning the lottery again. It is important in crypto. And you just need a plan. Like, I say this to people all the time. Like, a couple of people I know who are like, all right, I told them straight up, my plan, sell a bunch in December. I've got commitments that I know I've done this for. This helps me out in a big way, so I'm going to do that. Yeah. That's a good idea. Oh, yeah, it got to this level. Ethereum got to 4.8. I wanted to get to 5. The psychological numbers will kill everyone. It's like, you don't know why you want it. If you only have one Ethereum, you did that for $200. And now you're at 3.2. And the problem is, you're probably going to sell now, because now you need the money. But when you didn't need it, you could have just sold it. So that's kind of the issue. But unfortunately, these are things like, we can sit here and preach about it. Irrespective, people are still going to do what they want to do, aren't they?
You know what? I'm not even judging people. People just need to learn for themselves. That's the way I see it now. More and more people just need to learn for themselves, and often learn the hard way. I've had to learn the hard way over the last year. We'll get to it. Does Instagram cut us off after an hour, by the way?
I think it does. That's what I was going to say.
It did last time.
Do the
So if we quickly run through the list, the little other things, and then we'll do the awards ceremony after the break, basically. Yeah. So what, should we just quickly talk about regulation then?
Yeah. So what sort of regulation are you specifically referring to? Is like also American regulation? Or
I think it's
like
more things like KYC, just on a basic level. I think the days of just coming in with an account and being completely anonymous and all that kind of stuff are dwindling. I think people are going to have to, I understand, like, there's a lot of OGs who've got, like, God knows how much on their cold wallets and stuff like that. I get it. for new people coming in, it's not going to be that easy anymore, or not easy, but it's not going to be that anonymous anymore, basically.
No.
I think more and more regulation will come in. I think in some ways that is good, as we've said, because a lot of people just go crazy with leverage, or they just don't quite understand what they're doing. So that's fine. I do think it will remove some of the charm from it, because crypto is so charming right now, and it's kind of like so cool, and it's just crazy and creative. Yeah. And I think a lot of that might just go as more corporations come in. I kept saying it all along. I think corporations they'll suck the fun out of it to an extent, and institutions will as well. If you can accept that and still sort of derive what fun you get from it in other places, then I think that's fine. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about more in terms of regulations, like FTX and Binance and stuff. They're going to have to comply with a lot of things, and that'll have knock-on effects for just normal people.
And they'll happily do it because they need to continue growing. And the reality is, like you said, I think 90% of people are happy to KYC and continue doing it the way they're supposed to. If you want to completely live on chain and not have to KYC, it all still is possible. It's if you're down to do that. Like for me, legally, I can't options trade here in the UK, so I can't go onto like a Deribit, but I can go to Dopex, which is completely on chain, and trade options there. Great liquidity. They have about 75% of the same liquidity that Deribit have. So you can do your option plays there with no issue. And I prefer options to leverage. So if I'm going to make like a leveraged play, I actually do it using options either way, because if I think we're going to have quite a static market, I can just sell a bunch of puts on something and just collect the premiums on it. But again, it's quite complicated. I wouldn't encourage people on these products unless they learn about it. But generally, I think regulation is good. But the problem I find is that, did you watch the Senate hearing in December? With
I
famous,
caught
the crypto coin, Mongoose coin guy. And it was only like when I watched things like that, and I was like, problem is some of these old timers are so clueless. It's like, is the regulation going to benefit, or is it just going to fuck the whole setup? Like, I even saw a release from the FCA earlier saying that they're looking to do something about stable coins. And it's like, everyone's so obsessed with stable coins. That's not what needs regulation. It's literally not. That's not the part that needs regulation. The fact that all these airdrops I got, if I was an American citizen, I wouldn't have got any of them because I'm not allowed to use these platforms. So I would not have received any of the airdrops from last year. That's more of the issue. And luckily we haven't got that here in the UK. But yeah, regulation, like, I want it for a lot of reasons, because it's the only way this whole thing progresses, unfortunately. You have to take out the money launderers, you have to take out criminals, terrorist financing, whatever. But it also, like you said, kind of sucks the fun out of the whole thing as well. So trade-off though, isn't it?
Yeah. I think so.
It is a trade-off. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I still don't think it'll be an overnight thing. It'll take time. They won't get it right the first 10 times anyway, so we've got time on that, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And interestingly, you look at CZ from Binance and Sam from FTX. They're now amongst the richest people in the world. Like, CZ's worth 90 billion now. I mean, and Sam's, like, I can't even, just mind-boggling numbers.
And that's what's
so young as well. It's just
and that's
amazing.
not even the on-chain stuff that is just in cold storage. That's just what we can see. That's scary. That is really, really scary. I wish I opened a crypto exchange.
Let's do it, man.
Funny story, yeah? Do you know Terry Mardy?
Yeah.
It's a true story. 5 years ago, me and him sat down, and that's what we were trying to put together. Problem is, bro, the raising would have had to have been crazy. But we had serious talks, and I've literally got business plans for it. Like, the whole thing, it made sense to me. But bro, you are talking millions and millions and millions just to have the backing to back the positions. And it's like, yeah, by the time you get to funding, the idea would have been stolen and done. You wouldn't have even made it that far. Like, the CZs and Sams of this world, like, the way they did it was phenomenal. And do I think I could have done it to that level? No. So actually, I'm glad I didn't. But Now we should have a crypto exchange. That's what we need. We need to sell the shovels now. We need to be selling the shovels. We need to be selling the shovels. That's where the money is in this shit.
Yeah. All right. I tell you what, I think Instagram's going to cut us off. So
can you see it cutting you off?
No, my Instagram knowledge is extremely limited, bizarrely enough.
It's not cutting me off. Like,
okay, fine.
I've changed it.
Okay.
Hold up.
If anyone watching can comment and tell us if.
Oh, here we go. The live stream limit is 4 hours now.
Ah, there we go. Perfect.
I've even been rushing this because I only thought we had an hour. You know,
because last time I
kind of been skipping past some bits. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So now we can sit here and cool.
Just to let people know that we have we've got an awards ceremony for 2021. The Money Talks awards ceremony. So that is coming. Stay tuned. Bigger than the Oscars, bigger than the Grammys. This is like now the defining moment of your year. So please stay tuned. And it's going to life change you for sure. So but and then we'll rug pull you. But yeah. So in terms of let's go back over a couple of things. So there's been a lot of talk about Operation Save Big Dog recently. Now in crypto, the big dog is Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, I think now is, to me, it's a funding currency. It's nothing else. It's fulfilling its utility. What else do you want it to do? More so than what it does now. It's filling the digital gold category, your inflation hedge. What more do you want it to do? I'm not in it. I hold 0 Bitcoin now. I've held 0 Bitcoin for quite some time. I sometimes use it as a hedge. Otherwise, not really. Like sometimes my trade is I short Bitcoin and just long everything else, and it works pretty well for me. It's a pretty useless coin. It's done what it needed to do. It will continue rising in value. Great to have in your pension fund. Buy it, hold it, forget you have it. That's kind of my feeling on Bitcoin personally. But it's not going to do much else for you if you're in this game for like the fun. Bitcoin's probably the last place you should be.
It's interesting you say that. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I don't hold any Bitcoin now. So yeah, but I think I still look at where we are right now, and this really does remind me of like the year 2000 in the internet and stuff. Things are going to shake out massively. Bitcoin and Ethereum. We'll come to Ethereum in a minute. I just look at them and think, okay, yeah, great. A lot of people are doing well off them and stuff like that. But for the general population, what does it really mean to them? It's meaningless right now, to be honest. And what utility does it give to them? Again, not that much. Not in reality. Yeah. Okay. Ethereum is the basis of a lot of NFTs and stuff like that. But again, does that really matter to your average Joe on the street? Not really. Not even slightly.
No.
So until things start hitting them properly, like to actual normal people on an everyday basis, then I still look at Bitcoin and Ethereum as like, Ask Jeeves and Yahoo was in the year 2000. You're too young to get that reference, Premz, but like, like
no, I remember.
Things...
I remember.
Okay, well, I mean, these things are not here anymore, and in any meaningful way. And it's all about Google. It's all about this. It's all about that. And once they get their grips in and figure out then they become the big dogs. Google, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And I still don't think that we have a definitive big dog yet. I think Solana was obviously trying to be that last year, or on the come up and stuff. Yeah. We'll come to Cardano later. And I don't think there is a big dog yet, to be honest.
Nah, everything to me is like, I'm not married to, I think everyone thought I was like kind of married to Ethereum. No, I was just super bullish on it for that period, but I'm not married to any of it. Honestly, in my head, I don't care if it all goes to 0. I said this last time, everything's a fucking scam. It's all one big Ponzi. I don't care if it all goes to 0 tomorrow. I really don't. Like, I've had my fun with it. It's been great. But generally speaking, it's what it is, isn't it? Like, it's, they're all fighting for this top spot. Reality is you're one government decision away from rugging the whole thing at any moment. I don't think that will happen, of course, but that's the reality of crypto. The real utility for blockchain, we're beginning to kind of see it, but like I said, there's so many areas where it will actually be used, and then it'll just be normal life. You won't refer it to blockchain. It'll just be how things are done. And that's when you know kind of the integration is complete. Like I said, there's so much, like I'm having more fun just exploring things on it now. Like I'll just look at new products. Like Dopex was a really good find last year. The coin itself obviously has done extremely well, but even aside from that, just the product itself is phenomenal. The fact that it's just all on chain, no KYC needed. I can trade options on pretty much any coin. The next thing they're doing is they're able to create options on like Tesla, on Amazon. So you can now have an on-chain stock market options exchange, again, without the KYC, and you can earn in Ethereum or whatever on it as well. So I think those kind of things fascinate me a lot more because I can see the real world utility, and anything I can see that a bank going into is always attractive. Only because you'll kind of see like Aave, I always thought was interesting. And then the second I started to hear, okay, banks are interested, and then you could physically, then it was like, okay, if banks are deploying capital here, that is where the utility is in all of this, is what can it be used for? Can it be used to raise money, stable yields?